When it comes to understanding the Koryos and later warrior traditions, it also becomes key to understand the figure of Trito, as Trito held significant importance in Proto-Indo-European mythology, serving as the primal warrior and the revered culture hero, thus indeed an important early figure for them. He shares connections with other prominent figures like Manu and Yemu and assumes the central role in the myth of the warrior's function, setting the archetype for all future warriors. So if we want to really understand Trito within the broader Proto-Indo-European context, we really would have to start with the creation myth. A creation myth being a traditional story that explains how the world, humanity, or the universe came into being. Such myths often involve divine beings, supernatural events, and symbolic elements. They serve to convey cultural and religious origins and are prevalent in various world mythologies. For the Proto-Indo-Europeans, Manu is often depicted as a primal priest and culture hero. Manu's key attribute is his role as a sacrificer. He performs solemn and sacrificial acts that lay the foundation for the world order, where Yemu is typically portrayed as the twin brother of Manu in Indo-European mythology. His attributes are multifaceted and often include the connection to kingship. After his sacrifice or death, Yemu's existence is believed to give rise to various social classes within human society. This division into social classes symbolizes the primordial origin of human society in its hierarchical structure. But also think persona and shadow from a Jungian lens. And when it comes to this myth, it starts with Manu and his giant twin Yemu, and the primordial cow, who are born from the primordial state of the universe. In their quest to create the world, Manu performs a solemn sacrifice, offering his brother's life, while assisted by heavenly deities like the Sky Father, the Storm God, and the Divine Twins. From Yemu's remains, both the natural elements and human beings are forged. Manu cuts Yemu's body into pieces, and from these he created the world, the sun, the moon, the ocean, and stars. Manu's act of sacrifice establishes him as the first priest, laying the foundation for the world order and teaching people how to sacrifice. Where in the emergence of social classes, Yemu's existence as Lord of the Underworld is also tied to the role of the first king, with various classes originating from different parts of his body. The priesthood arises from his head, the warrior class from his breasts and arms, and the commoners from his sexual organs and legs. And though there are discrepancies between European and Indo-Iranian versions, it is believed that the primeval cow was likely sacrificed in the original myth, giving birth to other animals and vegetables. Where Yemu's destiny led him to become the king of the underworld, the realm of the deceased, being the first mortal to perish in the primordial sacrifice. Where the later acts of sacrificial practices involved offerings often of animals to divine beings or spirits in the religious rituals. And in ancient cultures, these rituals played a significant role in establishing connections between humans and the divine. In the case of the Proto-Indo-Europeans, the cow and cattle playing an important role. An interesting other connection regarding this creation myth can be found within Roman mythology, where scholars have linked Romulus and Remus, that are both linked to the wolf, to the figures of Manu and Yemu, Mars being the father of these twins, who is also linked to the Proto-Indo-European Koryos. And the same element of sacrifice echoes within this myth as well, also carrying elements of the creation of society in the mythological world order. Now when it comes to Trito himself, Trito embodies the heroic ideals of courage, strength, and the pursuit of cosmic balance. As Manu had sacrificed Yemu to the Sky Father, the gods showed their approval by giving cattle to Trito, yet chaos also had found a home in this world. Under the cover of night, the fearsome three-headed serpent stole the cattle, and is typically depicted as a powerful adversary, symbolizing chaos, danger, or malevolence. Despite an initial setback, Trito gains strength from an intoxicating drink and receives assistance from the storm god. Together, they venture into a cave or mountain, where the hero triumphs over the monstrous serpent and returns the recovered cattle to a priest for proper sacrifice. His enemy, the serpent, is generally associated with water and depicted as multi-headed or else multiple in some other way. And Indo-European myths often describe the creature as a blocker of waters or stealer of cattle, and his many heads get eventually smashed up by the thunder god in an epic battle, releasing torrents of water that had previously been pent up. The Vedic Trita, meaning the third, is also associated with the Maruts linked to the Koryos, creating also another link to the Koryos, with Trito being, the foundation of it. So with the cattle free and back on the land of his people, Trito, becomes the first warrior, where Manu created a sacrificial fire, a burnt mound over the bull, and the aroma and smoke then was offered to the gods. A burnt mound consisting of a mound of broken stones and charcoal, normally with next to it a hearth and trough. In return, the gods continued to give cattle to the people. Manu continued to sacrifice, and a new king was crowned, who was connected to both his people, the land, and fertility. Trito continuing to keep the cattle safe. This original motive also finds reflection in Germanic mythology. For instance, the Norse god of thunder Thor vanquishes the giant serpent Jormungandr, dwelling in the waters around the realm of Midgard, where in the Volsunga saga, Sigurd slays the dragon Fafnir, while Beowulf in his tale confronts and defeats a different dragon. The depiction of dragons hoarding treasures in Germanic legends, symbolizing the community's wealth, may also be a remnant of the original myth of the serpent holding waters. The waters also being linked to rain, where the serpent would withhold the rain, and with it, the waters of life and vitality. Outwardly, in the world, this is linked to the droughts that occurred in the steppe, where thunderstorms would be welcomed as they would bring the rain again. Yet also inwardly, psychologically, this symbol has relevance, depicting the internal mental blocks that keep us cut off from our own sense of vitality, meaning, and the connection to our more primal self, so linked to our instincts and the creative force that can flow from it, as much as the more dangerous destructive force. Trito and his deeds also forming the earliest form of the hero myth, that Carl Jung, but also Joseph Campbell in The Hero's Journey, wrote about, laying an important early foundation for what Jung called individuation, or the journey to the Jungian self. Next to this, the story of Trito also served as a model for later cattle raiding epic myths, and most likely as a moral justification for the practice of raiding among Indo-European peoples. Cattle raiding being the act of stealing livestock, and is historically linked to the concept of honor, power, and wealth. In some cultures, raiding parties formed warrior bands, closely tied to the notions of heroism and social order, and this practice of cattle raiding and general raiding practices also being in a later sense connected to the Proto-Indo-European Koryos warrior band,